Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing? Good, good. I pray that you are well. I pray that you have been taking full advantage of walking in God's grace and having gratitude as we have been just a couple of days into this Grace and Gratitude 100-day challenge. Remember, if this is just a challenge to help you to draw closer to God, to learn more of His Word and His scriptures, and dare to remember everything that he's done. So let's get into day 3. All right. Day 3 is the fullness of his grace. The fullness of his grace. When you're in the midst of a struggle, how many of us are? Like every day, okay? When you're in the midst of a struggle, whether tragedy, sickness, betrayal, or hardship, human nature wants to look at the problem and do what's natural. We want to worry, fret, or even get even. We may even want to get even. But God gives another option. How many know what that option is? I think you know. Trust in Him. Trust in Him. When you do, you will receive His peace, His perfect peace for the very moment that you're in. He knows all about what you're facing and even the chaos ensuing on the outside. You can walk in His fullness. All right. He knows all that you are facing, and even with chaos ensuing on the outside, you can walk in the fullness of His grace and His peace on the inside. What will you trust Him for today? Man, that's a good question. What will you trust God for today? Okay, the fullness of His grace. How can the fullness of His grace be applied to what you are dealing with today in this moment? What will you trust God for? Isaiah 26:3 says, He will keep in perfect peace all those who trust in Him, whose thoughts turn often to the Lord. And think about it, when we started the challenge, one of the goals is learning how to trust Him in your moment to moments. You may start your day off well. You may even end your day well. But right in the middle of your day, when things are the most hectic, what can you trust and believe God for? Will you trust Him to know that He's going to carry you through that moment? Will you trust Him to know that even if I want to say something, or even if I want to respond in a particular way, that I can hold my peace knowing that God will fight my battle? Will you trust Him when you have to make that call to the customer service line for your phone bill or your water bill, and the person on the other side is not very nice to you, but there's still something that you need, and you trust that if I am kind and if I give gratitude and thankfulness, then perhaps that other person, God, to touch their heart. That those type of things happen. And so, what can I trust God for today? It doesn't have to be a monumental thing, but it's those small moment to moment things when it's easy for me to slip away from that which I have meditated on in the morning or even in the middle of my day, because now I'm tired. Now I feel depleted. There are a number of things, in our day that come and they attack us. And a lot of it is just the day to day. It's just the normal routine day to day. We don't need a whole bunch of other stuff to come in. It's the normal routine day to day, but it can cause havoc. It can wreak havoc. It can cause chaos. Can you trust Him for those things? Okay, can you trust Him in the middle of the traffic? Can you trust Him in the middle of doing virtual school? Hello. Can you trust Him when there's a disagreement between you and your spouse? Can you trust Him when you don't know the state of your nation and how it's going to turn out? Will you trust Him to just bring peace to your mind and settle your heart? Can you trust Him? Can you allow Him to bring the fullness of His grace into your life in those moments? Grace is what transforms and transitions you from a place of chaos to a place of peace. Chaos to peace. Why? Because his grace is sufficient. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of his grace may rest upon me." The writer of this scripture is dealing with something in his flesh. He is dealing with a weight. He is dealing with something that's nagging him and is bothering him and is pestering him. But God says his grace, my grace is sufficient for thee. My grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in your weakness. So then I can take glory in what I'm going through. I can have joy in what I'm going through. Because, see, that's the change. That's the shift. When I'm in the moment and I might be lacking in grace and I trust in God, then I can move from a place where I am without grace to a place where I am now full of grace. Virtual school. Okay. I love teaching, but it's different teaching at home and teaching my kids. And so we may start our day off fine, but after lunch, honey, they have waned. And so have I. And sometimes right in the morning, but God gives grace. Sometimes in my workout, I am not as enthusiastic about it. Okay. And I have to call upon God in that moment, in a workout. Yes, in a workout, because his grace is sufficient. God, I need your help because I'm trying to get through this. God's concerned about my health. He is. He's concerned about my kids. Yes, he is. He's concerned about that meeting that you got to go into and you know that everybody is against you. Of course he is. And you can carry with you the fullness of his grace into that moment and allow him to transform everything that is around you. And here's the deal. Even if what's around you is still chaotic, you can still have peace. Because that is what God does. He brings peace to your moment. He may not change your circumstance, but he knows how to bring peace and drop it right down in the middle of your situation. So we don't have to worry. We don't have to fret. We don't even have to try to get even. Those people on your job who are working against you and you doing all that you can do, don't worry. Don't worry about it. My dad told me on many a days he had to go to the bathroom and say a prayer, steal away, and God knew how to make things happen. He knew how to bring peace. He knew how to make order where there is chaos. We got to take our hands off of it. So the fullness of everything that he has, he brings it. He knows how to bring the fullness of his grace. And guess what? It's sufficient. His grace is so sufficient that even when I am empty and I am depleted, honey, he knows how to fill me up. And he'll do the same for you. Where you feel like you don't have enough, God knows how to make it be enough. He knows exactly what you need and he brings the fullness of it with everything that he does. So it doesn't matter if it's parenting or your marriage or if it's school or if it's, if you're a college student or if you are virtual schooling or if you are trying to change your habits or you're trying to walk away from addictions. God knows how to bring the fullness of his grace into your circumstance and your situation and bring you peace and transform everything around you according to his perfect will. And so if his will is that I'm not going to move you out of the storm, but I'm going to bring you peace, and you best believe it's going to be the peace that surpasseth all your understanding. Just like I'm from Louisiana and the hurricanes are crazy, but the eye of the storm is where the peace is. God knows how to bring the peace. He knows how to bring the peace to your situation. Okay. So we can walk in grace. And here's the thing, like I said, it's about coming from this challenge with grace and gratitude is about coming from one place to the next place, from faith to faith, from glory to glory. Let God get the glory out of your life and bring you to a higher place in Him. I've seen Him help me through the seasons of my life when there was not enough, when I was all alone, when I didn't know what to do, when I was hit and perplexed and vexed on every side. But God knows how to bring the fullness of His grace into your life, into your present situation. So wherever you are today, whatever you go through, whatever you deal with, you say, God, I need your present grace, the fullness of your grace right here in my present situation. But you got to be willing to be at the end of yourself. You can't be asking for God's grace, but you still got your hand on the situation. You got to let it go. You got to give it to God, and you got to trust Him. If you're going to pray, don't worry. But if you're going to worry, sweetheart, don't pray. That's an old school term. That's an old school little situation there. But His power is made perfect in our weakness. Okay? So it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be depleted. We're in flesh, y'all. Flesh gets tired. It wants to give up. But God knows how to step in. Lift your voice up and ask Him to bring the fullness of His grace into your situation and your circumstance. And I promise He'll do it for you. So, Father, not a day passes that I don't receive gifts. Father, I thank you for your promise to bless me with your true and lasting peace, no matter what I'm facing. No matter what I'm facing. True and lasting peace is what we get from the Lord above. Okay? All right. So, hey, let's remember to keep working on this challenge, keep going from day to day, learning to draw closer, dig deeper, and dare to remember. All right. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow.